All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. First of
Mm.
all, I want to say thank you to everyone that's joined us today. We're really excited at Metametrics about what we're doing with decodability and how we're supporting foundational reading and the science of reading. And we want to share with you some of the work we're doing in this space today. So today we have a great team with us. My colleagues are here to share with you their work around decodability, and I'm really excited. So today we have myself, I'm Kim Altman, I'm the Director of Sales. Some of you might know us and know me, so thank you for joining. I've worked with some of you. Kathy New is our Senior Product Manager, and Steve Lattanzio is our Principal Machine Learning Engineer. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off to Kathy so she can begin.
Great. Thank you, Kim, and welcome everyone. It's great to be here with you today. Before we jump into the presentation, we have a quick little fun poll as we get ready to talk about decodability and decodables. And so this question is specific to our Find a Decodable Book tool that we have that I'll be talking about in a few minutes. But basically, what vowel sound do you think teachers are searching for most when they are on Find a Decodable Book and searching for decodable books? So we'll give you a few seconds to go ahead and answer. It's pretty close. Let's see. A couple more seconds. Wow. Okay. So let's go ahead and end the poll and share the results. So really quite neck and neck between E and A. But if you said A, which just kind of barely took the gold there at the end, there was really neck and neck. Short A is actually what we're seeing teachers search for most on Find a Decodable Book, and short A is actually about 5 times greater at this point. Let me see if it shows up there. About 5 times greater as far as individual sounds that are being searched by on Find a Decodable Book. So thank you for participating in that. We'll see. I'm sure that as the school year goes, that will start to change. So it'll be interesting to see that. So let's go ahead and get started into taking a look at why, having deeper insights into decodability are critical. And so, as you know, and as you're aware, the science of reading really calls for a greater emphasis on teaching phonics to enhance children's decoding skills. And proponents of the science of reading advocate for that systematic, explicit, and cumulative phonics instruction, as well as the use of decodable text when supplementing phonics instruction to really help build children's decoding skills. Additionally, we are seeing state legislators enacting science of reading related laws, and those laws are mandating that teacher training and evidence-based curricula. But one of the things that we're also hearing is that teachers are looking and they're struggling to find decodable books that are aligning with their scope and sequence. And just to give you a little bit more insight on our educators and our teachers when they're looking at the decodable books, what we've been hearing from them and what we've been seeing in different social media posts and stuff, they're really taking a deeper dive into these texts to determine if it's matching those skills that they have already taught and that their students have learned to help make sure that it's appropriate for their students. So what they're doing really is they're looking through to get at that information, they're looking through every page of the book. They're looking and analyzing each one of the words to make sure that those words are following that focus skill or the scope and sequence of what they've taught to their students. They're not only looking at the words to make sure that there is ample amount of practice for within those books, but they're looking at what high frequency words are used in the book to make sure that they've gone over those? Or are there other words in the book that don't follow the patterns that they're teaching that might be deemed as maybe tricky or more difficult for their students, so that they can maybe know what they need to pre-teach beforehand, before they give that book to their student, because the goal is really for that student to be able to read books independently. So on top of really not knowing where to go to find decodable text, they are really analyzing the books before they're purchasing and using them in their classroom. And so just to kind of give you a little visual and reinforce a little bit of what I've been saying about what teachers are doing, here are a couple quotes that we have from some recent interviews that we've conducted with some educators. And so as you're looking through those, you're going to see things pop out like, you know, they want to know what is in the book. They're examining those pages, wanting to make sure that there's ample amount of practice of that focus skill. And again, any words that may be tricky. So they're really analyzing everything before they put something in front of their students. So to support our publishers in providing this critical information to help educators in finding those appropriate decodable books, and also to help ensure that your content is aligning to your scope and sequence or the skill focus of that book, we have created this first of a kind automated analysis of decodable books that generates a report that categorizes every word and sound spelling pattern. So this is our proprietary engine. We're very excited and proud of it. Steve is going to talk a little bit more about this in a minute. But what this does is it's mapped the graphemes and phonemes of every single word in the English language so that you can gain insight into the decodable words used in your titles, all the way down to that individual spelling and letter sound. So this is just a closer up look of the analysis and the type of information that you'll receive when you get your books analyzed. You can see this is a really easy to read report here or analysis. It provides you with really a quick glance of every word in your book, again, categorized by sound and spelling pattern. It provides you the percentages of long and short vowels that are contained within the book, as well as high frequency words, and then your percentages of single syllable and multisyllabic words. Again, this is to make sure that it's aligning to your scope and sequence or the intended skill focus of your book. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Steve so that he can share with you a little bit more on the development and the technology behind the decodability analysis. So Steve, over to you.
All right, thanks, Kathy. So the first thing, how do we generate the decodability analysis? Really, how do we enable it? And that's going to be, of course, with natural language processing, and probably less, of course, AI. Natural language processing, of course, is just anything that has to do with ingesting natural language and processing it. It's like in the definition, but with an algorithm to produce some output. This decodability analysis is one of those things that doesn't intuitively seem that challenging from a computational perspective. And of course, maybe that intuition is like a little biased by the lower level of the decodable text that we're working with. But at the end of the day, you want a generalizable solution that can handle all the text if you had to. And even low-level text will have edge cases. As a native English speaker, I've never really appreciated how weird English was until I started working on decodability. So you want to be able to know the grapheme phoneme alignment of all the words that may appear in these books. And in this case, that takes AI in the form of a neural network that we created. Pronunciation dictionaries with phonemes are available, but there are no dictionaries that really show the grapheme phoneme alignments. For prior research into word decodability, we developed a neural network to pronounce words based on their spelling. We were able to modify this neural network with a secondary algorithm that searches through permutations of alignments to find the maximum likelihood alignment solution. Knowing the grapheme phoneme alignment for all the words in a text then allows us to classify words into the buckets that we're interested in and generate counts and frequencies, as Kathy had shown an example of on the previous slide. That's it for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's some, examples, kind of graphics to show you what's going on generally.
All right, well, thank you. So for that. And so as we move on, so kind of want to talk about what else is this, a little bit, what else isn't for you for when you get your books analyzed for decodability. And so with our unique analysis, you'll have that independent and objective summary of your book sound, spelling, and syllable information to help ensure the alignment with your scope and sequence, as well as alignment to the science of reading and, be in compliance with state legislation, like the dyslexia laws. So with this information, you'll be able to provide educators with that information that they need to best support their students' reading development and, really help guide the reading selections and supporting that science of reading scope and sequence that the districts and the schools are using. We're seeing also that districts are also releasing RFPs requesting decodable text. And, when you're looking at the RFPs, what they're looking for is they're looking to make sure that these books are highly decodable, that that the text is, introducing words and word structures really in that carefully planned scope and sequence, again, in that effort to help support students in applying those phonics skills that they're learning. Also seeing that, they want to make sure that these books are building that foundation and recognizing, pronouncing and reading vowels, consonants, and word families. Some of the RFPs are looking actually at percentages of words that are decodable within the scope and sequence. So for example, they're looking for that 80% of the words in the book are matching that focus skill that has been outlined in that scope and sequence. So following along with that. So, and they're also looking and accounting for high frequency words. So there's really a lot of the same information that we are providing within our decodability analysis that they're looking for in their RFPs. And so having our decodability analysis really provides you with that third-party validation on your claim so that you can support your responses. And then with our analysis, you'll also receive additional exposure to your decodable books within our new Find a Decodable Book tool that the poll was based on. And so by getting your decodable books analyzed, you'll make them more discoverable. So the titles, once you get them analyzed, they're included in our new Lexile Find a Decodable Book. And this tool is for educators and parents. This is one of our new tools. This is featured on our Lexile and Quantile Hub. This site is actually visited by more than 3 million educators annually, or visitors annually, and it's shared by over 20 state departments of education. So the Lexile Find a Decodable Book also is the only centralized search for decodable books. So it's really helping those teachers find those decodable books and match their needs, something that they're really struggling with. So we're getting a lot of visitors there. And so this on the screen here are some screenshots of the Find a Decodable Book. And so when educators enter the site, they'll be able to search for decodable book by vowel sounds. And then as they select the book that as they select a book, they're going to go ahead and see the decodability analysis. It's all the same information that you were provided with, just in a cleaner, more customer-facing type of format. So again, they'll be able to view the book's percentage by vowel sounds, look at the words and the sounds in the book. so that they can use all that information to help when they're planning instruction, or when I said that they're looking for that information before they're even purchasing the books. Right, so these are some of the publishers that have submitted content for analysis, which has contributed to about a 300% increase of the books that we have, or the titles that we have represented in Find a Decodable Book within this first half of 2023. So we thank them. And at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Kim about how to, how you can submit and get more information on submitting your content for decodability analysis.
So great. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Steve. So basically what we're really excited about is that we've created a streamlined way for our partners to have a place to access and search for and be able to get data on their own content and to submit their own content for both submission for decodable analysis and for a Lexile measure. So we've created this partner portal. When you partner with us, you'll be given access to this partner portal. You'll be able to use this portal, submit your content. It also keeps track of your content that you're submitting and provides your report handy in one place. And it's a great way to access and get the information that you need and to be able to have it in one centralized location. And so we're really excited about rolling out this new partner portal and supporting the submissions of decodability. So as you can see here, one of the things that we've done is we've gone to a subscription model to make it easier for you as a client to not have to worry about getting invoiced on every single book and every time you submit something over the course of a year. What you see here is an example of our dashboard, and this dashboard shows two things. One thing it shows is our certification credits. That means that you've purchased a number of credits and you want to submit content. Those credits you have to use throughout the year. And as you submit your decodables for certification, those credits will be deducted and you'll have an overall understanding of where you're at in terms of your submission process. You can also see on here that we have another product called the Content Creator Lexile Analyzer tool, and that's a great tool for development. So some of our clients participate using that tool, and that tool, as they're developing content, provides additional insights into the Lexile measure of their content as they're writing, and they can iterate on that content. So people that have a subscription to both have separate counters. How much have they used in the Content Creator and how much have they used for the content certification portion? So this portal kind of is the one-stop place for you as a client to know exactly how you're getting your measures and what your measures are telling you. So I think what's really important for us at Metametrics is that this foundational reading and this decodable analysis is part of our ecosystem. And what that means is we're looking at all sides of what's needed in this space, starting at pre-K through 2 grade, and really wanting to support teachers' needs, our partners' needs, as we continue to move forward and provide a more robust story around how we support foundational reading and the science of reading for that matter. So in this ecosystem, we've talked a little bit about how do we measure your content to be able to support your understanding of the decodability. Sometimes it's a confirmation of what you already know from an outside source, which is also really nice to have. But the other thing that I'd like to say is as we continue to move forward, we also have assessment foundational reading items that can also be used so that you can now have a way to assess your students' decodability, as well as match them with decodability content. So we also have a support system around these assessment items. And I think for us, we really wanted to kind of share what we're doing in this space and have this opportunity to, have you participate with us on our journey to really help that future whole student to become a proficient reader. So one of the things I wanted to say is that we're really excited to be in Frankfurt this year. And if some of you are going to be there, I'd love for you to reach out to join me and have a minute to chat in person about what you're doing around decodability, the science of reading and foundational reading, because it's really exciting. So if you're going to be there. I also think that I've added my email address. If you have more questions about decodability, we can go ahead and support you that way. So we also had some questions and I was responding to some of them in the actual chat itself. And I can look and see if there are others that have been posted more recently. So here's one that I can answer. So what's the average turnaround time from submission of content to availability on the site? So what happens is when you submit your content, we guarantee between 1 to 25 days, you'll receive your decodability analysis report. On the day that your report is issued to us, within 24 hours, your decodable book will appear on our site with the analysis report to go with it. So the turnaround time is very quick, very quick. I think that the cost of the subscription model, we have a variety of tiers. That's another question. And so without getting into a lot of pricing, I do have a sheet that I can send to you. But what I will say is that we're addressing our clients' needs from if they want to submit a single book, which has a particular price. And what's really nice about it is when you submit a single book, it's not an additional cost to get the decodability analysis report. But what I do want to say to you is that when you're submitting content, we really want to vet and make sure that the book is what is a true decodable and used for teaching decodable, because there's many foundational books that are designed and written at the pre-K2 space that are great foundational reading books, but not written in the intent of teaching a decodable in the decodable space. So when you submit to us, you can submit and get both the Lexile measure and the decodability analysis report for your content. But if our team receives content and we're not sure if it really fits as a true decodable, we'll reach back out to you and have that conversation. So we do have a cost that is just a single book cost, as well as a tier structure subscription that starts with the low tier at 25 books. So we have both options to support your needs. Does the user have to put information for individual texts? Can the system handle the phonics scope and sequence and run decodability for a series of texts? You will submit each individual ISBN as one submission. So for each ISBN you submit is a submission, and the system will print out a report for that particular ISBN and submission. So that's what it does for you. And we also, a question about decodable books at different grades. So the question was, do we have decodable books at different grades? And if you look into our Find a Decodable Book, you'll actually find that we have decodables going all the way up to middle school, because as you know, that students on their journey master decodability at different rates. So we do have publishers that actually write decodables for higher grade levels where the content is geared towards and the imagery is more specific to an older student. So that we do have books listed on our website that fit that category. Do you have a sample analysis of a decodability for a text so we can see how the system reports? I don't know if we've prepared a live sample to show you into the report, but what you can do is schedule a meeting with myself and we are glad to walk you through and show you. Now, currently, you have to submit the report to us and we run this on our system on the back end, and then we send the report back to you. So this is really part of our API that Steve shared with you and explained to you, that machine learning behind the scenes. So currently that is back end facing when that happens and not front end facing. But we can absolutely meet with you and kind of explain to you a little bit more in detail about how that report works. What if you want the analysis but don't want the books on the site? So that's a great question. And I think that what we need to do is, if that's the case, that you want the analysis report and not the books on the site, we do have those use cases. For example, we have publishers that create leveled readers, and they create those leveled readers within a book set. And maybe the book set has an ISBN, and maybe that isn't actually readers that are sold to the public in general. They're part of like an overall product. And so we do have the ability to remove an item that you don't want and not list it in our Find a Decodable. We would just need to know on the front end that you're considering that, because it will kind of depend on how we put your books through the system, because with this new automation, it feeds automatically. But if you don't want those decodables listed, you can absolutely let our team know that, and we can work with you to make sure that does not happen. When it talks about, do you have products that are made specifically for bilingual emerging readers? So what we do have is a Spanish Lexile analyzer tool that analyzes Spanish content. But currently, we do not have the decodability feature for Spanish itself. And those are the two languages that we primarily focus on right now. But we do have Spanish for the Lexile analyzer, but currently not for decodability. I'm not sure if there's more questions. I've gone through about 8 of them. So, and I answered some in writing also that were coming in prior. So I'm not sure if there's any more questions. I'll take a couple minutes because we have a little bit more time. So far, I don't see anything else populating in. So what I would like to say to you is we really, really appreciate you joining us on our journey today and partnering with us in the decodable space. We're really excited about that. I will say that we are seeing RFPs, like she said, from states and from districts that are looking for decodable text. And as a partner of ours, when we see those RFPs, we try to give a shout out and let you know that they're looking for this content, which gives you the ability to then respond to that RFP if you do choose to do that. So we're really thankful that you've joined us today, and we look forward to supporting you and continuing this work in decodability and the foundational reading and the science of reading space. So just want to say thank you for joining us.